Hey, what's up? It's Pop Anime Comics here with Attack of the Twin and Cole Name Apollo, and today we're going to be talking about Legend of Korra, Book 4, Episode 7. Pretty good episode, I must say. The episode, in my opinion, was divided into two separate episodes. The first part and part, I guess one of the parts was dealing with Korra being back in Republic City, obviously escaping Kuvera, and she reunites with Asami and Mako, and then Prince Wu is kidnapped, and it's this entire, tracking of Prince Wu and how metalbenders were kidnapping Prince Wu. And then the other part of the story, for lack of details here, was Bolin and Varric and their escape. In the last episode, they kind of broke out of Kuvera's, reins, and they're walking, and then Bolin gives a great speech, and him and Varric wind up getting captured by firebenders and waterbenders who are in the Earth Kingdom, and there's this entire plot to escape, and how they wind up having to kind of fight for their freedom. So we're obviously going to get into the details, break it down a little bit, but I'm going to turn it over to John. Initial reactions to the entire episode.
I personally love the episode. I'll admit, I was originally thinking when I first saw the title of this episode that it was going to be all of Team Korra, of Team Avatar reuniting, so I expected Bolin and Varric to make it to Republic City, but I really love the subplot they decided to give them instead, or not really subplot, like half the episode, of them trying to get firebenders and waterbenders and other people that were in the concentration camps out of the Earth Empire. And one thing I've actually found that not many people are comparing Kuvira to Ozai, but imprisoning fire and waterbenders and keeping them contained, that almost seems like something Ozai and the Fire Nation did 100 years ago to keep Earthbenders under control. Send them off to the to that barge back in Season 1. And I thought that was interesting. The Korra section was more of a character-driven arc, where it was Korra, Mako, and Asami trying to learn to reconnect after 3 long years, and the characters honestly somewhat changing, their situations changing. So not a lot story-wise happened in the Korra section, other than Prince Wu was going to be captured and sent to Kuvira, and then they stop it. But a lot of character moments were in that episode. I think this episode kind of marks the halfway mark where we see where the characters will go and what they'll be doing generally in the second half, I guess.
It's a pretty good summary. I really liked this episode. I think it was a very good episode. What I would like really to talk about is the ending. The ending where you see Kuvira with the spirit vines in the swamp. Are we going to get Toph involved? Is Toph dead? Did they already kill her? Or
there's no way they killed a character like Toph off screen.
maybe not. Also, I also have an observation to make: the dedication of the troops to Kuvira. She's almost like a god to them. It's interesting to see just how devoted they are to this person, despite the fact she's nuts.
So my reaction, I wasn't a big fan of the Korra element of this episode, really. I thought that it was okay. I thought it was average Korra, but I was really, really surprised by the Bolin and Varric, because they really captured like some comedy moments with Varric and Bolin. I mean, Bolin's been carrying Varric for a few miles at this point, and Varric's still talking about Julie, and then Bolin gives a speech, a good war speech, from his acting days in Republic City. Those days come in handy sometimes. But then from there, Varric finally is carrying Bolin, and then they're captured, and it's kind of like a really funny moment. And then, obviously, after the funny comedy element leaves, we get major, major character development where I feel that Bolin actually becomes a leader. You know, they're talking to these waterbenders and firebenders who escaped the concentration camp of Kuvera, or a re-educational camp. And it's this idea that, you know, they're using Bolin and Varric, and then they're getting through, and then they all get attacked, and Bolin and Varric are going to really, they can escape, but Bolin makes a conscious decision to allow the rest of the group to escape all with them by, you know, lava bending, and it kind of shows leadership with Bolin, and I'm really, you know, happy that his character is getting, you know, a lot of character development, and this is, I feel like, the first time that in all 4 seasons of Korra that Bolin is actually getting character development. And before, he was kind of like a gag character. He was kind of a joke character. He was important, but you know, Mako obviously got more character development in the prior seasons than Bolin, and now Bolin has a lot of character development. I mean, he has a half an episode to him with Varric too. Even Varric is getting massive character development, and so I really wanted to touch on that and get your reaction on that entire, you know, point of Bolin actually coming into, you know, being elevated as a character. John, you want to take it?
I mean, the whole thing is Bolin started off as kind of the Korra version of Sokka, being the comic relief and all, but the whole thing is Sokka was more than just comedy. He was the idea guy. He was clever. He could come up with plans on the spot, and Bolin didn't have that. He was just an earthbender after that, and there were times, especially in like seasons 2 and some of 3, where his jokes got kind of got pretty obnoxious, and so it was really a breath of fresh air for me to see Bolin in a more serious role and to see him actually really step up. And you know what? He makes a great foil for Varric, especially Varric, who is brilliant, but at the same time doesn't exactly have a lot of common sense. But when shit goes down, Varric is actually very reliable. Like, he made an EMP.
Yeah. A lot of it, I think, also has to do with what he did with Kuvira, what he thought he was doing. Because throughout the whole thing, remember his argument with Mako? It was all about actually being in the towns and helping people, as opposed to protecting some bureaucrat who doesn't care about, you know, the people who are actually suffering within his own kingdom. So I think some of that, even though he was working for Kuvira and Kuvira was working for ends that weren't so noble, you know, the fact that he thought he was doing that kind of changed him, made him a bit more confident, made him more, you know, let's do this, let's charge forward, let's do the right thing, that kind of thing. So in a way, Kuvira almost made Bolin what he is right now. And also the lava bending that he did was just awesome. It was watching that fight scene with the mechs and the benders, I really liked it, because the mechs really did put people on par with regular benders.
So, I mean, I don't think Bolin and Varric are foils. I feel like, to talk about Sokka here, I feel that Bolin and Varric are Sokka, where I feel that Bolin is not. Bolin has the comedy element, and so does Varric. But I feel Varric, as he showed, he built an EMP out of nothing. He basically can't bend while the benders are fighting the mechs. Varric can build an EMP within like seconds, and so I feel that Varric is like the idea guy, and Bolin with Varric is the equivalent of Sokka in this show, and I feel that that's kind of a cool touch. And I also think I do agree that Kuvira definitely kind of made Bolin. I don't think Bolin would be where he is today without, I'm assuming that he spent at least a good 2 years under Kuvera, in this entire uniting of the Earth Kingdom and going slowly and kind of, dealing with it. And I feel that Bolin feels that since he did so much good, or he was doing good, he has this ability to be confident and kind of have this leadership ability. And I think that Kuvera has made Bolin, and then Bolin kind of saw the light and kind of realized what happened when Kuvera kind of stabbed him in the back. And that kind of segues into, Bolin being a leader. He kind of is leading these rogue benders, whether they're all going to the same place or not. They're definitely, Bolin is definitely put in a leadership position. Whether he's the sole leader, not sole leader, that's a different manga completely.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that for everybody watching. It's good.
He said leader, not eater.
Recommend it, but different, manga altogether here. But I digress. He's kind of the leader of this group and the most experienced, and he's also a main character at this point, which also kind of puts him in that position. So I wanted to get your reaction on that, whoever wants to take it, and what you think is going to happen with Bolin and this group.
I think, well, they're trying to get back to Republic City, although they also said that they were going to go to the north. Which is
not to interrupt, but
yeah.
I don't know if it's clear if they're both going to Republic City. Bolin and Varric want to. This group, it's unsure.
Yeah. So what I think is going to happen, I think they're going to go to Republic City first, because both of them are adamant about warning about the super weapon. Although whether they will get back in time, whether there will be any time whatsoever, is really it's gonna be it might be close. We don't really know yet, but what I think is going to happen is they're going to get there just in time, like right before, like right as they get the super weapon all finished. That's when they get to Republic City to warn the president about it. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's tricky because we have no idea where in the Earth Kingdom they are. So North can mean anything from Republic City to the Fire Nation to the Northern Water Tribe. Because if I remember...
My question, and where I'm aiming here, is did you think that group is going to be like, you know what, we want to go to a different place, but we realize that there's a crisis, and... did you think Bolin's going to bring in some troops? Is what I'm aiming here.
Oh, yes.
I think Bolin is going to be like leading these people into a battle, and Korra and Asami, are also going to be recruiting, and they're going to kind of have a bit of a force, along with other people in there. But that's where I'm questioning and trying to figure out if it's going to just be like they're cooperating now, and then they're going to split, or is it that they're going to stay as a group?
Yeah. I mean, I think it can somewhat go both ways. Personally, I would really love to see Bolin with this group, even if no matter what their destination is, and I would really like to see Bolin sort of more in the leader role and less in Mako's shadow, because he's kind of been in Mako's shadow for the other seasons. It's always been about, like, Mako becoming a cop, or Mako becoming a cop. I mean, yes, Bolin becomes a movie star, but he's being duped by Varric in that season because Varric wants a war. So really, I mean, Bolin's been kind of manipulated for most of the seasons, so it's nice to see him in a more leadership active role. I would love to see more of that, and not like when he eventually joins up with Korra and Asami, because that's going to happen. The only question is when. I just hope he's no longer in Mako's shadow.
The way I saw it, and my immediate reaction to when Bolin was captured and they came up with a plan, was Jet from the first show, in which that like my immediate reaction is freedom fighters. In
Yeah.
which that I mean you're behind enemy territory and you could cause a lot of destruction. In which that I don't foresee Bolin, getting back to Republic City in the next episode. I kind of see Bolin maybe lava bending a pathway and kind of, rising up, because I never ever expected Korra to go up against Kuvera. I kind of expected Bolin to. And I think that Korra's going to play a role in it, but I don't think it's going to be Korra versus Kuvera. Like, that to me seems way too obvious, and that fight already happened.
But at the same time, Korra's the main character, so she's going to get like the lion's share of fight scenes.
I mean, I don't see, like, from right now, I definitely, like, can see that I can see Korra dealing with the weapon itself. I can see Bolin dealing with Kuvera.
I think, though, that's actually a very interesting point you bring up, that Bolin doesn't get to Republic City in the next episode. They're still kind of in Earth Kingdom territory, just kind of going around and, maybe picking up more supporters and more and more and more supporters as they go through and help, towns that are being oppressed by Kuvira. That seems like it's almost like the opposite of what Kuvira is doing. Instead of
I just feel that it would be too simple and too like happy story ending for Bolin to show up, especially after this like huge development that he got. Like, and I think that would be interesting to go the opposite way with Kuvera, and maybe even come full circle. I mean, depending on where he is, the very first village that they were in. I mean, these people know what they're doing when they're writing this show. Obviously, they put Kuvera saving Korra's father at the end of season 3. So if they're going to pick a village, and I could very well see that the village will come full circle from the very beginning of this show. I can see that that's where they might be near, and that'd be a very cool stance to pick it up, and how things, but that's all depending on where they are.
Also, I really like the towns idea, because like that's almost a nice, neat callback to Avatar: The Last Airbender, because that's what Aang and the group often did. They went to a town and dealt with the situation in that town. I mean, let's face it, Bolin is going to reunite with Korra and everyone eventually. We just don't know when that is, and honestly, I think you're right. I don't think it should be episode 8. I think it should be like episode 11. There's only going to be about 13 episodes. There's only going to be 13 episodes in this show. So we're at the halfway mark right now.
I mean, I just I'm a big supporter of, like, if you're going to build a character, I don't foresee that you're just going to simply build the character and then completely develop the character in like 12 minutes and then throw that out the window and make him a secondary character again. To me, it seems like, it's a bit repetitive what I'm saying, but it seems to me like, really they developed him for a good reason to utilize him, and they've been neglecting the entire Bolin character, especially considering that, I mean, I hate to go back to season 3, but he gained an ability in season 3, which was the start of his development, and then now we're actually seeing how to utilize that ability. And really, it turns out that Bolin's character is like fascinating, and it's cool stuff. So I want to wrap up with Bolin. Final thoughts on Bolin and Varric and what they're doing.
I think they're a great dynamic. It's like the dynamic duo. They're one of them's got the bending and physical side of it. The other has the mental side, and both of them aren't really conventional in their thinking or in their bending style. I mean, Bolin is not a conventional earthbender by any stretch of the imagination. Instead of staying rooted into the ground like most earthbenders, he actually, kind of dances around and only like connects to the earth whenever he's bending. And he's also a lava bender, which is pretty rare in the series. There are more metal benders than there are lava benders. And Varric is not really a conventional thinker either. Again, he literally came up with an EMP on the spot. And in case anybody doesn't know, EMP stands for electrical magnetic pulse. And so we have two very unconventional characters working together towards a common goal, and I think they can really come up with interesting, funny, and just entertaining situations they can put them in throughout the rest of the season.
I'll be honest, I'm actually kind of more excited to see what Varric and Bolin are doing other than Team Avatar, because the Korra, just to touch on like the Korra thing again, that was, like Andrew said, pretty average Korra. It was just them saving Wu. Again, it was more of a character thing than any story, because story-wise, it doesn't really move forward. But I am definitely more fascinated with the Bolin part, with the Bolin half of the storyline. I think that's where they're going to go. Most episodes are going to switch between Korra, Mako, and Asami, and then Bolin and Varric.
Yeah, obviously, I think it's pretty unanimous between the three of us that we all are like the Bolin part more than the Korra part. It's not, the episode was fine, and it was a good episode. It's not to say that like the animation was bad or like even the story was bad. It was just it was the Korra part, which we're going to talk about next, what was just not as fun to watch and not as exciting, and it was just typical Korra. And if you've watched, I believe there is there's about 45 46 episodes of Korra in seasons 1 to 3. So if you've seen, those 45, 46 episodes, you have an idea of what typical Korra is. And typical Korra is not bad. It's just that it was typical Korra. And I know that's not exactly the best definition, but it was average. And the Bolin stuff was a little bit above average. And so looking at that and just breaking down the episode, it's kind of interesting. So to turn our attention to Korra, what do you think of Prince Wu replacing Bolin for the time being, and the entire situation with Prince Wu and how that's utilizing his character? John, you want to take it?
I'm starting to get a little annoyed with Prince Wu. It's the whole noble guy who has never had to work, thus has screwed up priorities.
Is the word you're looking for?
What?
Pompous.
Yeah, this pompous rich guy who's never had to work a day in his life, so he has very screwed up priorities, and he never takes the situation seriously. I've seen this character, and there's nothing really special about him. I thought they were going somewhere cool with him in one of the earlier episodes where he kind of realizes it was the coronation, where he kind of realizes he's somewhat of a shit. He has no idea how to rule, and I thought they were going to go somewhere with that, but no, he's exactly like Bolin without the awesome earthbending. He's just there to be a comic relief right now. So, yeah, I'm not exactly too thrilled about Prince Wu.
While I don't really like Prince Wu either, I think they're still managed to kind of make him relevant, because this really shows that during the coronation, Kuvira kind of gave the impression that she doesn't care about Wu. If she has the Earth Empire, Wu can just stay in Republic City. I'm not even going. You don't even come up on my priority list. But now we know that actually he does, because this might have come up because there may be some factions in the Earth Kingdom who are still loyal to the king or to the imperial family. Well, we know there are. specifically Mako's family. Um, but it's so the fact that it's not necessarily the character itself, but the fact that Kuvira considered his existence a threat enough to go infiltrate Republic City and capture him is interesting, and I think that's really a bit more of where some of the intrigue of the Korra parts of these episodes really comes up, as well as the fanaticism of her followers.
What I like, I mean, I think Prince Wu is just a story character. I think he's useless. I think that he's to fill in the space, and I mean, for the story's purpose, he does serve. You know, he's supposed to take rule, and he's supposed to take, you know, the kingship, and he kind of is, you know, he's supposed to be the ruler, and then Kuvera basically says no. So he does fulfill a role, but he's what you would call a jobber in the show. Now, a jobber, for those of you who are not familiar, it's a wrestling term that refers to a wrestler who basically gets paid to get beat to make other characters look stronger. Prince Wu is a jobber. But he's got his moments, just like every other character. I like how, you know, he's kind of funny, and he's kind of an ass sometimes. And he's got that, like, pompous ass type, you know, personality, and how he's trying to hit on the Avatar. He's like, can you please go to the Avatar state? I want to see your eyes glow. Like, I mean, that was obviously funny to me, and I don't really know, like, sure, you know, I mean, I don't even think a character like Link can do that. So he has his moments.
Well, Link clearly had the hots for Korra in season 1.
Yeah, it's great, and he did the same thing to Asami. He's like, he hits on every girl, and it's kind of funny, you know, because everybody knows somebody like that. You can, everybody in their life knows a Prince Wu. It's true. It's just the way it is. But his character is annoying, but I do think that is actually fascinating, which James was saying, where Kuvera doesn't publicly make this known that Wu is a priority, but Wu is a priority, and that actually is a big game changer for me, where you have this character who is kind of like he's not supposed to be important, but he is important now because Kuvera wants Wu. And so if Kuvera wants Wu, there's something that we don't know as watchers yet. Why? And that's what I want to know. And that's what fascinates me. It's not so much, it could be any character who would be the prince or the king, who's supposed to be the king. Why does Kuvera, who paid no attention to this character previously, now want this character?
Especially
and now wants the
when
prince
she was in
her
Republic City, she could have. Yeah.
I mean, if you have loyal followers and you're in Republic City, there are higher targets, like the president of Republic City, but she didn't go after the president of Republic City. She went after a prince who has no power in the Earth Kingdom at the moment. Questions like that's what I'm assuming James was going for, is that, you know, there's something there where it's a big priority.
Like the situation may have changed. Maybe she underestimated how much people didn't like her, or like wanted to go back to the old monarchy. And then it's like, well, I didn't have this priority now, but now that the entire Earth Kingdom is reunited, the Earth Empire now is reunited, well, now I want now he becomes a priority after my other one is complete.
I mean, just to openly think here, it could very well be that Kuvera just wants to cement her power, and so she says, we are not going back to a monarchy, and she executes the last heir.
Hold on. Sorry,
I mean,
my roommate's
that could very well be the situation where it's like, you know, she's basically dealing with this entire realm of basically saying, you know, I got to eliminate the complete monarchy. So I don't know. So to move on and really go into the last component here, the last big one, the spirit vines at the end. Who wants to take it?
I want to. That to me, for one, it kind of a lot of the episode, but particularly the core bits, focused on her powers with the spirit vine, how you can connect to the world using the spirit vines. And it's the way that they are showing it, how they're taking down the spirit vines in order to make this weapon, and not realizing like what this thing really is. I mean, it's there's another dimension to it that Kuvira is not realizing what it could be and just seeing its potential as a weapon, and I think that's some really enlightening commentary, how something so powerful could be a could be like a path to enlightenment, seeing how truly interconnecting it is, but at the same time a powerful weapon. But I'm excited to see what Toph does about this, because there's no way Toph doesn't know they're there.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes you look at the swamp episode from the original series. I'll be out in a few minutes. Sorry, my roommates. Anyway, it kind of makes you look at the swamp episode in the original series like in a different way, because in the original series it's just like this swamp kind of being a jackass and taking Aang and crew, like forcing it into the swamp, forcing it into itself. That kind of came out wrong, but and showed them visions, and because of that, it was and I kind of think like the whole spirit vine thing is really interesting, and I think it really does show Korra's development, as in it's not that she gets stronger, but she gets wiser, and she starts really using her spiritual powers in a really cool and clever way, more than just brute force, which is what Korra from like years ago would do.
Honestly, I mean, my entire thought on the spirit vines and Kuvira and Korra's, way she's using it, I didn't really understand where Kuvira was cutting the spirit vines down from. But I know that she needs a lot of them, which leads me to believe that her future husband or her fiance has basically copied Varric's work, and that's semi-alarming. So Varric's work has been copied. I'm assuming there was a setback and it's been copied, and that's what it tells me, that she needs a lot of it, and that there's going to be an invasion of somewhere. It's just that, and also, how powerful is this weapon? If you're cutting down a lot of spirit vines, that's the thing. And then to talk about Korra, I'm pretty sure Korra is aware of the spirit vines at this point. I'm pretty sure Korra is not aware of the weapon, but she's aware of the fact that spirit vines have been cut down, and she doesn't know either. And I'm sure on some level, some other people are aware too, like possibly Janora might be aware. So it's interesting to me, and I don't really know what to make of it. That to me is kind of one of those things that it was very brief, and it's very interesting, but it's pretty clear that it's for a weapon, and so that's all I know. Anyway, I think we're gonna cut it right here. No initial last reactions. John's roommates are gonna shoot me and him and possibly his brother. They really want to go into their room, I'm assuming. So we're not gonna kill John this week. I know all the viewers are upset. It's okay. You can write comment to John.
My demise will come soon, people.
His YouTube channel, by the way, is Attack of the Twin. Attack of the Twins. So you can leave your comments on there. Me and James, we want nothing to do with this. We're basically throwing John down the river. So off you go, John, down the river. And thanks for watching. We hope to have you back next week. Everybody who watched this live, we appreciate it as always. And if you watched it on, replay on my channel on their live events, I also appreciate that. And just so everybody's aware, I am moving to Daily Motion, but a lot of live events are still going to stay the same, and a few videos are going to stay the same. And so I hope you subscribe to my channel if you like what I do, and I hope you check out my new channel. It's same name, Pop Anime Comics at dailymotion.com. So check me out, and we'll see you next week.
And we also do these hangouts at least one. We try to do them once a week at 8 o'clock on Saturday. So if you're interested in leaving a question or maybe a comment, you can always check us out on Saturday around 8 o'clock.
Thank you for watching again, and we'll see you next week.